We are now going to discuss strategies for keeping a well-run classroom when working with kids. We feel that good learner-teacher relationships are the key to productive learning and to classroom management. Therefore, we come to the conclusion that investing time in classroom management and classroom climate building activities is a really productive aspect of professional practice. We believe that positive learning relationships are the essential requirements of a well-managed and well-behaved classroom. One of the first things that we should do with kids is to create a class routine. A routine is a repetitive sequence of actions followed each day. It is important for routine to be established in our classroom as it helps with children's stability and also help facilitate teaching and learning. When the routine is established, the students will know what is expected and will be able to do things on their own. That is why they are so important. The procedures may change from time to time as the procedure is how things are done. One should always model and explain the procedures in our classroom prior to establishing it as a routine. However, if a new procedure will be added onto our daily routine, one should introduce it by midday and not at the beginning of the day. Morning routines are very important as they help students learn when our day has begun and gives them a sense of security that they will run smoothly. Another thing that we should do is to keep a comfortable classroom layout. The majority of the students are learning to adapt to a classroom setting full of new procedures, expectations, and rules for the first time. Depending on the maturity of the class, you can slowly introduce flexible seating during the class by incorporating one flexible seat at a time. But you can also have various options for the students to choose how and where they want to sit for certain activities like reading time. Start the day with a song as part of your daily routine. By starting the day with a greeting, a chant, or a song, you set your students into a positive mindset. You can also use chants as classroom cues to mark the different moments of the class. Some people use chants, but you can also choose gestures, music, or smells. Pay a look at the links to learn more good morning songs. Use attention grabbers. During class time, use attention grabbers or attention getters. They are a form of catching students' attention when the class is either very loud or not paying attention. We can switch the attention getter every month. The way it works is the teacher shouting, ring ring, for example, and the students respond with hello. It is super simple and easy to follow. It's a good idea to display them visually or have them set into popsicle sticks so that you can raise them whenever you need them. Here you have some more examples. Negotiate classroom roles. Having classroom jobs or classroom helpers is a good option as they teach students responsibility and are also a great way to teach students how to be in charge of their task. The first weeks of school you might not incorporate the classroom jobs, as you should be modeling how to do each job. Once the students have learned the transition of the classroom, you can introduce jobs. You can only assign them to some students, and you can also rotate the jobs weekly. The jobs might be displayed on your main whiteboard, and you might want to have a system that randomly calls on students. For example, randomly pick a student through the use of popsicle sticks and so on. Set up clear rules. Classroom rules and consequences are a great way to keep our students accountable for their actions. But how will class rules be created and introduced? You should set rules and repercussions in advance. You should explain them and discuss why. You can also establish a small number of rules. Get the students' input about them. Be positive and be specific about these rules. Display the rules visually on a poster or on the board. Teach the rules to your students and establish the consequences if you consider it necessary. Alternate academic progress with leisure activities and mental breaks. Offer your students pleasure and fun from time to time through songs, games, and storytelling. These three elements always work with kids and they are a must. Use short brain breaks. They are quick and effective ways of changing or focusing your physical or mental state. Brain breaks are a useful tool to help activate, energize, and stimulate your brain. Sometimes in class, we will be spending a chunk of our time doing some serious learning. The students may get a bit tired or begin to drift away, of course. The brain break will allow students to take their mind off and take a short break to get their little bodies moving and ready to jump back into the lesson. Here you have some examples and you can also display them visually. We are now going to focus on strategies for keeping a well-run classroom in relation to teens. If you pay a look at the pictures, you'll find many typical classroom situations that we have to learn to deal with. Teaching a more distracted, discontented, and disengaged adolescent can be more challenging than teaching a more attentive, cheerful, and receptive child. In so many different ways, teaching an adolescent can become more challenging and tricky than teaching a child. So the first thing teachers need to do is to have some understanding of how adolescents can change students' response to the demands of classroom instruction. Staying connected with someone who is rapidly changing can be difficult. This is true for teachers as well as for parents. So let's just remember a few factors or characteristics that can make adolescents harder to teach. For example, personal priorities can change. Shift of attention and chaotic internal organization takes place. Susceptibility to boredom increases. Authority is more frequently resisted. Learning becomes more risky due to peer exposition and so on. Again, we believe that the key to productive learning and to classroom management lies on the serious consideration of three basic aspects: good learner-teacher relationships, appropriate methodologies, and clear rules and expectations. The relationship between learners and teachers become more effective when we take into consideration certain aspects. The importance of first impressions, for example, that is, warm greetings from teacher to learners, positive classroom layout, quality of communication, and so on. It is also important to call students by their own names. Try to avoid referring to a class in general as second year, third year, and whenever possible, use learners' first names. This is a powerful classroom management tool and makes the students feel that you are interested in them and not just your subject. It's also important how you make eye contact because physical posture and body language communicate a lot when you are teaching. The balance between classroom persona and corridor persona is also important. That is, the importance in engaging students out of the classroom in a friendly and enthusiastic way, regardless of what may or may not have happened in class. In relation to methodological aspects, well, it's just a reminder because this is something that we have discussed previously. You should always provide a range of activities that capture and sustain teenage interest in your subject. It is important to remember a particular hobby or interest that a learner might have. You should also offer variety to sustain motivation. Well, this is something that we should keep track on. In relation to rules and expectation, we should think about how you will set rules and expectations. Those first few lessons with a new group are really key to establishing both the rules of the group and the climate of the learning environment. We suggest that you think about how you will set those rules. As a teacher, ask yourself, for example, what do you value? Why do you teach the way you do? Why do you think it is right and productive to teach in this way or that your students behave in a certain way? How do you know? These questions will let you clarify your own values or your teaching philosophy. You should also give space for students' contributions in this regard. Share your values and considerations for creating a safe classroom atmosphere and let students agree or disagree and set forward their own considerations. Create a classroom conduct code. A code of conduct is this collection of rules and regulations that include what is and is not acceptable or expected behavior. These rules can be collected in a handbook, but they should be shared and agreed upon by all the members of that small community that is the classroom. Let students display the rules in ways they feel identified with, using elements that belong to their particular backgrounds. For example, rules customized into cartoons or using Instagram hashtags, etc.